All right, little impromptu installation video. I guess we're gonna try doing an installation video. I got the DCS JL rock lights, the frame mounted ones, in red. And I think it's a bit of a process to install them. It's not like overly complicated, but you have to do a lot of fishing of wires. So I got this kind of like snake tool. I think this was from Amazon. You probably get it at like Walmart and Home Depot. It was like $8. It's 20 feet long. I'm gonna use that to snake the wires. This might be a one-stop install, or I might have to finish this tomorrow. I'm not sure. We'll see how long it takes. But I'm gonna probably, I don't know where I'm gonna start, but I'm gonna read the directions and see what we have to do, and then I'll just kind of do like little snippets of the steps along the way, and maybe this will help people, and then I'll do an example video of what it looks like at the end. So let's get started and see what happens. All right, so the directions are a little confusing. They say to start on the passenger side to locate a hole, and then tell you to do the driver's side one first, but I guess I'll just do the passenger side first. So essentially, there is a hole above the lower rear control arm. That is where we're going to put the snake in, so we can go along the frame. And then the tricky part is that you have to come out. Oh, let's see if I can get up in here. You have to come out this hole, which is just behind the front wheel by the transfer case. So this is where we're going to pull the snake out and put the wire harness in. So this is when the fun begins. Okay, so we got the fish line over to this hole. Let's see if we can't get it out of there effectively. There we go. All right, now we'll electrical tape the harness and pull it through the backside. All right, so when you electrical tape these, you want to, so it makes it, actually makes it through. You don't want to do it this way. It'll never make it through the hole. You gotta bend one backwards and keep one forwards, and that way they keep a fairly low profile. That'll get it through the hole on the other side. So I will electrical tape this up, and then we'll yank it through. All right, we'll get this tucked in there so we can pull it through. You know, even that's a tight fit, but it will get through. These other harnesses are a little smaller, so I think we'll be okay. All right, something to watch out for. These two bolts have basically like tubes that go through to help support them, and you have to get the fishing line over these because the harnesses are too small to fit through underneath here and the bottom of the frame. So hit a bit of a snag. Okay, I didn't give up. Update. I used this hole, which is right near where, that's a little farther where the two bolts are. The two bolts are over here. This is the closest hole I could get access to. I used a trim tool, which is about the size of my fishing line, to hold it up, and it took some finessing, but I had to push up and push on the end of the fish line to get it over there. I got it over one tube and under the second tube, but I backed the line up and then through this little, you can kind of see the fishing line going through right there over the two tubes, I backed it up. I used this to hold the fishing line up, and then I pushed it over the second tube. Now I can go to that hole and fish it back through. The driver's side does not have this issue, but I'm happy I was able to figure it out on my own. You might need 2 people for it. This little trim tool was the deal. Just lucky I thought of it, I guess. All right, I have the harness through the back. The other harnesses are inside the frame right now. You connect them to the lights as you're working your way down the frame. So I'm gonna get these lights going. All right, the back mid light clips in, waterproof, nice and sealed tight. Like that. So then you got, there's the back mid light. We'll go up and we'll do front mid light. Yeah, the middle clip on that one is pretty tough. Trying not to press on the LEDs. 2 mid lights in. One up front, one towards the back. Front lights go in this big hole right here, and this wire feeds down to that second plug that was connected to this. So I'm gonna fish this wire down using the sink cleaner, and then I'll connect it to that plug. All right, get the front light connected to the harness. Make sure it snaps, all good. Tuck them in. Just like that. And then this wire, right here, this is what goes up to, through the engine bay to the wire for the switch. So for right now, this just sits here until we do the other side. All right, then this guy goes in this hole right here. Nice and snug fit for that. Kind of be nice to not get water up in there. And then this connects to one of 2 areas, 2 of the plugs down here that came through this line that we fished through, and then I'll tuck the wire up into the frame and probably zip tie it to these wires right here. Follow these wires down. There's some wires under the frame, so I'll zip tie those there, and that'll keep it away from the control arms. So basically you repeat that for the other side. Same thing. You fish through the hole back here. You do not have the same bolt issue on this side, so fishing should actually be a little easier. The only thing that's an issue on this side is that the access hole to get the fishing line out is behind these insulated wires here. So it's just a little bit harder to get to. But other than that, this side should be a little bit easier than the passenger side. There we go. Get this rear plugged in. One side I think comes out this side, and the other goes out this back side for the center light. I might actually connect this center light. This goes behind the transfer case. It's just a magnetic one, but it has to come out the back side over here, and that's a tough spot to reach. So I'm gonna connect that one first and then do the mid light. Okay, so the back harness wire comes out here behind the insulated wire. I'm going to zip tie it along this insulated wire, keep it away from the exhaust as much as possible, and then bring it down and zip tie it to this crossbar, and then I put it up through here as an extra way to just make sure if this is magnetic, if this comes off, at the very least it'll just dangle, but it gives it a little bit of extra support. So I'm trying to stay away from the exhaust, zip tie it down along here, and that also keeps it away from the skid plates, because I obviously hit those. I don't want this to come off, so I put it up here. It's metal, it'll stick, so that's what I'm gonna do. This might be too much to come through this hole. Because I don't really technically need it here. I need it on the other side. Yep, we're gonna have to fish from the other side. That's all right, this is easy enough to back out. Okay, this is much easier to get to now. Man, that hole on the other side with the insulated wires is just a bear to get at. Oh yeah. All right, get this back on. Okay. So that is all set now. All right, so the back light, you have to take out the jack. And then in here, you have the drain plug. Now the thing with the 2020s, 2019s apparently, from what I've heard, the heat shield underneath right here, I'm actually gonna have to snip in this little spot. For whatever reason, they covered the drain plug. It obviously still lets water out, but if you're using this for a light, it doesn't really work if that's there. So all right. It's not pretty, but it'll work. We can see ground clearance, which means the light can see ground clearance. Feed the line through. This goes over on the passenger side to the empty plug I have for the rear light. And just make sure it's snug. All right, so now I'm gonna run this wire up along the heat shield. I might actually zip tie it here to the frame too, just for extra stability. I don't really think I need to though, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna run it up over the spring cap, and then it can join up with the wires that come down for the rear light and some of the brake assembly stuff. So there's plenty of slack here, so I'm gonna go zip tie those along its way. We're on to the last light, which goes under the engine bay and comes up to the third harness, the C harness. So the C harness is going to go into the switch. I'm going to use these two plugs for the engine bay light and the passenger side light. And I'm going to run the other two plugs over to the driver's side for the driver's side lights. Okay. Got 10mm. Loosen up this guy. Now I don't think it matters which direction you install this on, but my wire is going to the passenger side, so I'm going to install it facing forward. And it warns to not over tighten, so I'm going to do my best to not show how much I've been working out lately. But there's the front one, and now we'll take it over to the side here and then fish it up along these tubes over here. So I'm gonna zip tie it over here and then take it up. All right, so I got the engine bay light up here, connected into one of these harness plugs here. This is going to go into the switch box, a little slack I can tuck down here. Now I have to get the two side harnesses wired up through the engine bay and fish those through, so that is the next task. The engine bay stuff is a little tougher because you have to look out for the exhaust. So I'm actually going up near this heat shield here, away from the exhaust. I got this fished over kind of back towards the end of the engine bay. I'll pull it up through and get it connected. See where I can zip tie it to keep it away from that pipe right there. All right, let's see if we can pull this up without any issues. All right, nice and smooth. Cool. All right, that's one side. Get this connected. Okay, day 3 of DCS Lighting rock lights install. I just cannot find time to do this all in one shot. The only thing I have to do left, well, I guess there's 2 things. The only thing I have to do left is I have to route the driver's side wire up here to connect to this side of the harness. And then after that, it's just buttoning up some zip ties and making sure everything is where I want it. And everything is in place so it's sturdy, and then connect it to the switch and test it out tonight. So fish this one last line, start tightening stuff up, and then go from there. So what they suggest to do in the instructions, and I obviously think is a great idea, you have the exhaust running right here and this insulated wiring right here. So I'm gonna fish this up right next to the wiring and then zip tie to it so it keeps this wire away from the exhaust, and pull this up through the engine and get it connected. All right, get this connected over here. All right, everything is connected and zip tied. I just have to do the C harness now, and I have, for my other wiring, for my other lights, I have these little sticky zip tie mounts. So I'm gonna clip off the existing ones, and I'm gonna add in the C harness just to keep that stuff up out of the engine bay. And then from there, it's just connecting it to the switch. And then we'll see if it works tonight and how it looks. All right, so I got everything zip tied in all nice and tight. This also helps hold up, the zip tie also helps hold up the one that's coming up through the exhaust, by the exhaust in the engine bay over here. Got my wires tucked away right there. I just got to get this connected into my switch. And 2. All right, so I'm all connected to the switch. And all that's left to do is see how it looks later tonight. Okay, 3 observations before we test this thing later, just to fill you in. One important thing to remember about the tailgate light that I did the drain plug cut on down here. I don't have the stock exhaust anymore, which is why this is so easy to access. I can't guarantee that it's this easy to access. I have the Trail Edition AWE catback, so it freed up a lot of space for me to work up there. I don't know what the clearance is to work with the stock exhaust, so just keep that in mind. I did it by myself. It could be easier with 2 people fishing. I had to go back and forth from the entry point to the exit point a bunch of times, so that's something to keep in mind. And then lastly, I'm really glad I have rock sliders that I'm about to put on, the LOD signature sliders. I'm really glad I didn't have them on yet. I believe that made it slightly easier to access most of the holes for this. So if you're thinking about doing rock sliders and rock lights, do the rock lights first. It just might be easier to get under the vehicle and not have to maneuver around the sliders. Other than that, it was pretty plug and play. The pictures and the directions are pretty good. It took me a little bit to find the spots that they were talking about. But it's all installed now. We'll wait for the sun to go down and we'll check out how it looks later. All right, it is nighttime and we got them lit up. Check that out. That is a good look. A little bit of shadow underneath, but pretty good surround. Close up. I mean, what's really great about these is they do point out and they don't point down. And that's good because you actually want to see the rocks. You don't need to see what's directly underneath you. So just really cool, just awesome look. So this whole project took me about 2 hours over the course of 3 days. I couldn't find a 2-hour span to do it all at once, but it was about 2 hours, and it would have been helpful to have a second person, and I definitely think the look of these is good. They aren't RGB lights. You have to pick the color that you want. I have Vader, it's Star Wars. I went with red. White's probably a better color, but I think red looks cooler for what I'm going for, so pretty stoked about it. Turned out good. Good luck with your install. If you like this install video, subscribe, hit the thumbs up.